Hey there, Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan. We're looking here at a Subaru Impreza WRX sedan. Now this one here is not the STI, but it is the WRX. That means you get the same, well, a very similar version of the EJ20 boxer engine, 2-liter turbocharged, 4-wheel drive. The WRX and the STI, I guess the idea at first was that the WRX would be the volume model and the STI was going to be a limited edition that was going to be more expensive, that you couldn't buy too many of. Hence the name limited edition. And then later on in the life cycle, the STI became the more popular of the two. The GC8 had a long life cycle too. It started in 1992 and ended in 2000? 8 years? Wow. Now this one was bought from auction. We're going to be exporting this one over to the USA. Switch the engine off. Has 117,000 kilometers. This is a version 3, and so it comes with a 260 horsepower version of the EJ20. And the STI of this generation would have come with the 280 horsepower version, so a little bit more power in the STI. I think they've changed over to the STI spoiler there. I don't think that was the dealer option for the WRX for the version 3, but I could be wrong on that. They changed every year, basically. Okay, so engine running condition seems to be pretty good. You are getting a little bit of shake in the chassis of the car. I would check your motor mounts for that. But 117,000 kilometers, should have plenty of life left in it. Looks like alternator has been replaced. The auction sheet on this one said it's leaking oil. Now I looked down in here and the common places for it to leak on both sides. Didn't notice anything, but you can see the power steering pump has a little bit of leak. You'll probably have to change that eventually, or just clean it up and see how bad the leak is. Sometimes those leaks will leak slowly over a long amount of time and then it's not worth changing right away, but do check into that. Take a look at this. Here's something interesting. It has the hood scoop, of course. And then it has two different places where the hood scoops end up. Some of it goes here for the intercooler, top mount intercooler. Some of it goes here for the turbo. And I've always thought it's kind of weird. Why are you air cooling the outside of your turbo? I guess that helps. I just came to the realization today that that's not what they're trying to do. You force the air through this into this funnel. And what it's doing is it's pushing all of the air, the hot air around the turbo down to the underside of the car so that that hot air is not radiating in your engine room. The coolant, it's pretty nasty. Change that up. And the oil looks to be okay on this one. There's a little bit of rust around the bolts on the fender here. And besides that, there's nothing else to talk about inside here. Everything looks to be okay. Oh, and timing belt was changed at 104,000 kilometers, but they don't have a date on it. Now this car came from auction, and the transport company said it was smoking, so they couldn't transport it. So we had to pay extra to have it transported into us. And it looks like the clutch is done, and the smoking was actually coming from the clutch. If you smell the engine room when it's running, you can smell some friction material. If it's not a clutch, it could be something else. But what else makes friction material smell? Probably clutch too, because the clutch felt a little bit weak. Felt a little bit weak to the touch, which is not really that easy to feel in a clutch, really. It wasn't slipping. It was just having a tall engagement point, which means your pad on the clutch disc is worn away. Here's the auction inspection sheet. Let's go ahead and translate this now. It's a 1996 Impreza WRX Turbo. Auction grade R because it has been repaired from an accident. Interior grade C. Sales point is aftermarket ETC. It's a toll collection box. And then 117,840 kilometers. No star here, so that is authentic mileage. Okay, the report here says windshield scratched and rock chip. Now, windshield rock chip is usually too small to even mention. Let's see if I can find one. Here's a good example of one. This is what a windshield rock chip looks like. Okay. Body paint peeling, scratched and dented. Yes, probably needs a full repaint. There's paint peeling everywhere on it. Audio has been removed. Aftermarket shift knob. I think it actually has a short shifter kit in it. Maybe. It feels very much like the RA version of the shifter, which is shorter than normal, but not too short. And then the bushings for the shifter in there need to be replaced because it's all wobbly. Like a lot of people who've had a Subaru know what that's like. After a while, it gets wobbly. And then it says extra gauge here. Steering wheel is scraped kind of a weird word for them to use, but it's actually really badly peeling. You can actually see it through there. Okay, engine oil leak. Again, I didn't find that. End panel is dented. That's under here. And right front inner panel bent or dented. So that's the accident damage. It looks like it's a fairly small accident, nothing I would worry about, but the back end does require the trunk to be replaced, I believe. Okay, so it says hood has been replaced already. There's W2 over here for repainted sections. A cracked tail light, that happened at the same time as the back got a big dent. UA2 and a U2. Those together are the same damage, actually. Now, dent-wise on the rest of the car, it's looking pretty good. In fact, for such an old Subaru, you rarely see them with this few of dents. Subarus are made out of a super thin sheet metal. And while I think they galvanized it pretty well, rust doesn't seem to be a big issue on these, especially compared to other types of cars of the same era. And especially because that metal is super thin. Like, you can almost push it in on many of the panels. And then that means you get door dings and dents really easily on these and the Legacies and the Foresters. But this one looks clean and nice. Also, check out the TE37s on there. Cool. TE37s are the best wheel. And, I mean, stylistically, it's objective. But these are some of the lightest weight wheels, and you'll notice a difference on acceleration and deceleration. Because it's a lot lighter. Like the original wheels on the Impreza, probably somewhere in the range of like 7.5 or 8 kilos, and these will be like 4.5 kilos. And then this is rotational weight too, so you got to use your engine power to rotate it and to stop it. So people always talk about unsprung weight, and in all honesty, unsprung weight doesn't matter that much compared to rotational weight. Okay, so let's have a look at damages. We got front bumper has a scuff right here. These are real and authentic brake cooling ducts. Inside here goes into this plastic duct, and it goes right to your brakes. Authentic from factory brake cooling ducts. Super cool. A little bit of damage there to the fender. Fade on all of the hood, all of the roof, and more. I'll point that out in a second. Extra peeling on these vents. These ones are authentic usable vents, but they have an insert that you can remove so you don't get rain inside. So like, for example, if you're going down the track, you can remove those 4 screws, take that piece out, and then you still have these fins here. Hood scoop, paint peeling, super duper common. This is the final version before they went over to the angrier eyes, and so here you have a smoother transition around that corner. Later on they got squared off here at the edge. And then later on, they became crystal lenses without fluting. And those are the original fog lamps on there. And the wheels, they're dirty right now, so they look a little bit worse. The finish is a little bit worse for wear, but they're actually pretty good wheels. And for motorsports, the perfect wheel. I think the only wheel that's lighter than these for the strength is the RPF ones, and these are a more expensive wheel than those, and will hold together better if you're hitting berms and stuff. So a little bit of peeling on the wiper edges there. The roof, all of the clear coat has peeled off, all of it. And this edge piece here has paint damage all the way around. You can see a blend line there for where some paint was redone down here, which has in itself faded off as well. These on both sides have faded, and there's a teeny bit of rust up here. And there's a teeny bit of rust in here, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, this area here is bad paint. And there are a few different spots like that on it. Scratched mirror. Hard to get these. Like, this one would be one of the better condition ones. These Imprezas, especially ones that are USA legal under the 25-year rule. Yeah. So, rear spoiler paint peeling, trunk paint peeling, tint is peeling, black strip over here peeling, and the same thing here with the paint peeling and bad on the C-pillar there, as well on the back section there. And now this dent here has also cracked the tail light right below it. And you can see the trunk is kind of not on there correctly. Now you can take that to a body shop and they can move that trunk into a position that looks better, but I question if it'll ever be lined up very well to this fender. Really a professional needs to take a look at that. And then this dent here, this was the AU2 on the bumper, and this is the AU2 on the trunk. As you can see, they happened at the same time. Someone was maybe driftoing into a pole, or someone else drifted into you. I don't know. Basically, that's all that happens here in Japan. It's just everyone's drifting everywhere. Okay, and a little bit of paint damage there. And it may be hard to see, but there's some bad paint lines in there as well. Okay, some splotchy bits of paint there. This door is okay, but has some paint wave on it. And then some peeling up here, and peeling up here, and fade up here. I'm not sure if I did the once around, actually. I can't remember. But if I didn't, here you can see it from this angle. They're attractive looking cars. They're fast as heck. And they have a viscous center locking differential and LSDs front and rear that are both viscous as well. What that means is the hotter you get it, the more they lock. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a feature, but if you drive them hard, they lock hard too. And in my experience, even after high mileage, the LSDs in this are still pretty good. Okay, let's go to the interior. First I'll show you the trunk before I show you the interior, and show you that rust on the outside. So the trunk is generally pretty good for the age. There's a little bit of staining here, and there's a little bit of pilling here. And it looks like the trunk maybe touched the paint there and wore it off. That's the rust I'm talking about. Here, no, that all looks okay. And here a little bit. It's just the beginnings of it. That's not really rust. You just sand it away and paint it and you're happy. WRX Subaru Impreza. Man, like cars nowadays are good, but something like this is way more fun to drive than modern cars. I drove a car recently. I don't want to say what it was, but it was 400 horsepower, four-wheel drive. And in all honesty, I think this is a better car. It's more fun. You can drive it quickly more without going over the speed limit. And although like kind of a weak chassis is one of the downsides of this car, but it's also really lightweight. But a weak chassis can be lots of fun. The old 8.6 has like a spaghetti chassis, and it's incredibly fun. Okay, steering wheel has been attacked by the Japanese sun, and the Japanese sun has no mercy on 90s cars. I don't know how I got this, but I got black on my hand now. Weird. Okay, so these seats here are different from year to year. They went through a lot of different changes in terms of colors. There were even some with like yellow bolsters, red bolsters. This one here is the gray ones. And then the STIs got their own seats too. Dashboard changed for the version 4, so this is the final version of the old dashboard. You can tell because you have black face gauges and they are symmetrical. The version 4 has this one here is over here, so you get two small ones and then two big ones, and they're white face gauges. There's your boost gauge there. That's the extra gauge they were talking about. Here's a quick look at the interior. Mechanically, everything here is good except for this. That works. Power steering is really good. Better than I expected. Okay, the clutch. We want you to fix that here in Japan before we ship it, because it'll probably break down. Yeah, oh, I want those so bad. This is the fun of buying direct from auction. You never know what you're gonna get. Life is like an ashtray in a JDM car. Okay, AC works. The engine throttle response is good. Almost out of fuel. Not much else to say in there. I think it's a good compact car. Good all all-weather performance car. Don't crash it because these are running out. Okay, so that's all we have for this one. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. But thank you so much for watching this, and have a nice day.